Well, that escalated quickly. It's a little hard to have faith in the medical council. I had an email. No, I didn't have an email. That was the damn problem. There has not been an email from the medical council. But I did get a phone call. I had a phone call yesterday, consulting, and I get a phone call from the director of the Primary Health Network. He's like, "Hey, Tom, just got a letter. Just got a letter from AHPRA. Did you know that you need to have been reviewed by the medical council by the 7th of July? I'm like, what? And they're like, yeah. It says here that you need to have a review within 12 months from the 7th of July 2022, and the 7th of July 2023 is in like 2 weeks. I was like, shit, okay. Well, that's interesting. Haven't heard from the medical council. What's going on? I knew it was coming. I obviously was in the meeting where the prescription was provided. Hey, we'll see you again in 12 months' time. Actually, 16 months' time. It was March 2022 when I had the meeting. And then they're like, right, eventually this will go through the process, make it to the council meeting, and we'll ratify it. And in 12 months after that, we'll see. So this is like 16 months. So you can go check out on my AHPRA if you want to. It's got about 5 conditions, 2 of which have been met, which were, hey, why don't you take a pain course and give us a report within 6 months? And I did that within 1 month. It's about 12 hours of content and going through, making the notes, putting the report together. Fairly comprehensive report. By the way, there is no evidence for long-term opiates. Just in case you're wondering, if you happen to have inherited a bunch of patients with long-term opiates, get them off it. Get them off it. Same with benzos. Here's an easy solution to cure these problems. Don't allow GPs to prescribe them at all. You got to be a respiratory physician. You got to be a psychiatrist. You got to be a pain physician. You got to be a anaesthetist. You guys have all of these drugs that cause a lot of problems. Get us out of GP. But can I order an MRI for a knee? Nah. Only under these 2 specific circumstances, because we don't trust you. Man, this system is nuts. But I get this phone call. Hey, Tom, 2 weeks. Guess what? If you don't have this sorted out by 2 weeks, I can't pay you because you'll be in breach of your AHPRA. I'm like, oh, are you kidding me? Oh, great. That's wonderful. So I write to AHPRA, hey, just wondering what the heck is happening. Haven't heard from anybody. What's going on? We're going to pass it to the medical council. So it gets past the medical council. They've got some problems as far as I can see. I'm like, hang on. I know how you guys work. You work like molasses. It's so slow. Took you 4 months. What was it? Meeting in March, April, May, June, finally ratified in July. We should have been on this stuff 4 months ago. Because even before the meeting, you still got to look at the notes. And that was what? It takes another 6 weeks. So there's some exciting times. I'm very curious as to what's going to happen here. It's like, hang on. If you guys can't come up with a plan and the dates of what needs to happen with your own systems and procedures, like, this isn't my stuff. I have no control over how the medical council behaves and does their internal reviews and how they set their meetings and how they send their emails. But I'm on the other side of it. It looks a whole lot like incompetence. But you want me to trust you guys that you know what you're doing when you're judging competence of doctors. I'm like, this is a little bit concerning. If you can't do the simple stuff, what makes you think that you are going to be able to handle the complex stuff? In fact, in the meeting, the docs are like, look, we actually didn't read all 22 pages of your submission. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. You got to be kidding me. Really? You didn't read it all? Well, we could say, oh, maybe they did. They just didn't want to discuss it. I'll take that back. Maybe they did read it all. So that's cool. Guess what this is a symptom of? Do you know? Same problems showing up that's showing up all over the place. Now that the world has been rocked by COVID and the bank's procedures to print a truckload of money while no one's working, so inflation goes through the roof. And now we're finding out the stuff didn't work that well. And it was human beings showing up each day to do the work, and it was in their heads. But because everything's been disrupted so badly, it's hard to remember how we did things. We're being exposed with our lack of ability to do systems and processes. Systems and processes, and it's an epidemic in medicine, and it's of zero surprise that it shows up in the medical council. Why? Because at some level, hopefully there's some doctors in there. There are doctors in there. But our skill sets and training around systems and processes, very limited. Most unlikely that people in medicine have had much around this. Maybe the practice managers. But even then, systems and processes are not easy. It's not easy how to work out what these things even are. But we can certainly see the mess. And if you followed along for a while, you can go back and check out that I have indicated that a lot of the problems we are facing in general practice and medicine generally are because of our lack of ability to do systems and processes. Not so much in running the practices. Yes, that's a major problem. But these are also needed in the management of chronic conditions, of which we are seeing more and more. Less and less acute, more and more chronic, complex, multiple conditions, very difficult to manage without a systems mindset. Why? Well, systems give you when things should be done, who they should be done by. They allow you to track the results of those things. And the processes tell you what should be done. Do this, do this, do this. Iron infusion. Do this, do this, do this. But the problem you're going to run into is that people don't use them. They do it from memory. Or the instructions change, but they don't get updated. Or the instructions get updated and get left on a shelf. Or they get used, but they don't get documented. All of these are significant problems. And when things go wrong, guess what happens? You end up in front of the medical board. Like, what the hell just happened here? This is a giant mess. You think this is me just doing all these things? But that is who gets blamed, the doctor. So you're going to have to consider, how do you upskill? Here's the craziest thing that happened to me. I'm going through this fucking nightmare, and down come these insights around systems and processes. You think I'm passionate about this stuff? Because I know how painful it is. Like, literally the system that we needed to manage and prevent this entire thing, less than 5 minutes to execute. All right. This is what's going on. We're going to present at the next monthly mortality meeting. Tom, you're up. We're all going to talk about it, and we'll make a decision from there. But no, that's not what happened. Instead, people who didn't know what they were doing, undertrained, freaked out, blows up. Total damage of this was, I don't know, maybe I estimate probably around the $360,000 to $380,000 mark for a 5-minute system. So we've got to get better at this stuff. We are involved in a medical system with multiple moving parts, including the patient, the doctor, the nurses, the drug companies, the software guys, the receptionists. All of these things interacting largely unconsciously because we don't have a good grip on how to do systems. We don't have a good grip on how to get people to use the processes. It's very inefficient. Even when things get done right, it's still inefficient because people have to try and remember, or they have to try and work out how to do things. And if we come back to implementing a system for the medical council, it's like, okay, great. Here's the date, 7th of July. Before that, the meeting for the council is on the 22nd of June. Great. This needs to be done. Before that, the meeting needs to happen. Great. That happens in May, 15th of May. Before that, we need 6 weeks to say pull notes. Great. That is early April. Contact made. If contact's not made, phone calls, letters, emails, contact must be made. Pull the notes, have the meeting, get to the council, get the thing resolved, problem solved. But none of this is being managed, and it's across the board. And it's putting doctors at risk. We've seen what happens with this. Have a look at the stats, the 16 doctors in AHPRA. What happened? It is zero fun to go through this. Extremely stressful, extremely difficult, and you need good tools to be able to get through just the anxiety and the stress of this. Go after people's livelihoods, putting food on the table for the family, for putting a roof over their head. You go after this stuff and you don't provide any support, or you are incompetent in how you deliver these things. Dangerous, dangerous, dangerous. The whole system is messed up. Why do we even have a medical board of New South Wales? It's ridiculous. There should just be one medical board for all of Australia. And in fact, why do we have AHPRA and these medical boards? It's ridiculous. It's stressful. It's ridiculous. Needs to change. It's an anachronism. What are these guys holding on? Guess what happens when you go to different jurisdictions? They got different rules. It's like, you guys making this up as you go. Except the consequences are severe. So I want you to think about your current understanding around the topic of systems, around the topic of processes, around project management, about standard operating procedures. You're already doing it, you just don't know what it is. And when you can bring conscious awareness to it, when you can see what's going on, your safety goes up, your efficiency goes up, your effectiveness as a doctor goes up. But all of that also requires you to be on point. What habits have you got? What tools have you got in your kit to maintain your frame of mind when the pressure comes on? Or are you wobbly? When a patient's got bad news to receive, how do you deliver that? Are you confident? Are you grounded in yourself? Where's your health at? Where's your connection to the universe at? How's your family going? How's your study going? We are being looked at as role models. Doctors, people are coming to doctors because they don't have many answers anywhere else. Businesses are struggling. Religion's falling over. The doctors, maybe we got something. I do have some stuff. It's over at GraduateMedicine.com. Start with the basics. How are you living? Where are you at right now? Where are you going? And what's possible for you? Head over to GraduateMedicine.com. Thanks for tuning in today. I'm going to have a very interesting little 2 weeks ahead. I'll let you know how that goes and see you on the next episode very soon.